The advertisement made no sense. A massive Victorian house for just $1. Everyone called it a mistake. But Jack Carter had a feeling it was something else entirely. The front door wasn't locked. Inside, the house felt impossibly clean. On a small table waited a brass key and a handwritten note with just 3 words that made Jack stop breathing. "Welcome home, Jack." Jack lifted the brass key. Another sentence slowly appeared on the note. "Once you enter, they will forget you." Before he could react, an old grandfather clock echoed 6 times through the empty house. The room looked lived in, as if someone had just left. But every family photograph hid the same disturbing secret. Every face had been scratched away. Only the house remained, remembered. One photograph had escaped the damage. The family inside was smiling, and the father looked exactly like Jack. The only impossible detail was the date. The picture had been taken decades before Jack was even born. Jack photographed the mysterious picture. It saved perfectly, then vanished from his phone seconds later. But when he looked back at the wall, the original photograph had never moved. The house seemed to erase proof, but never its own memories. Jack called his mother, hoping to hear a familiar voice. Instead, she quietly asked, "I'm sorry, who is this?" Before he could answer, the call ended. For the first time, Jack wondered if the note had been telling the truth. Jack opened his digital ID. His photograph was still there, but his name had vanished. His passport showed the same impossible thing. The house wasn't erasing people. It was erasing who they were. An old telephone suddenly rang somewhere inside the house. Jack answered. A calm voice whispered only one sentence. "You're already disappearing." Then the line went dead. Upstairs, Jack caught his reflection in an old mirror. For one impossible second, it kept walking after he had stopped. When he blinked, everything looked normal again. But Jack knew what he had seen. The hallway ended at a massive wooden door carved with ancient symbols. As Jack reached for the polished handle, his smartwatch suddenly vibrated. One message appeared on the screen. "Do not open." He had never connected the watch to anything inside the house. Ignoring the warning, Jack opened the door. Inside was a library frozen in time. At its center rested a single photo album. Embossed across its cover was one word: Carter. It carried his family name, yet he had never seen it before. Jack slowly opened the album. The first photograph showed a family standing inside the same library. Then he noticed something impossible. One of the children wasn't just similar to him, it was his exact face. The next photograph was dated 3 years in the future. It showed Jack standing outside the mansion wearing the exact same clothes. At the bottom, someone had written only 5 words. He finally came home. Hidden behind the photograph was an old property deed dated 1989. The owner's name was Jack Carter. His hands froze. He wasn't even born that year. Yet the signature was unmistakably his own. The old grandfather clock struck midnight. With the final chime, Every portrait on the wall changed. The families remained. But Jack was gone from every photograph, as if he had never existed at all. Behind the empty frame, Jack discovered a hidden brass key. A faded tag read only 2 words: Attic, Room 7. Whatever the house was hiding, it wanted him to go upstairs. The key fit the attic door perfectly. Room 7 had been locked for decades, yet it opened without resistance. Jack took one slow breath before stepping into the room that had been waiting for him. Room 7 looked untouched by time. In the center stood an old writing desk. A leather journal rested on its surface, beside an oil lamp that looked as if someone had used it only hours earlier. Jack opened the journal and froze. The first page was dated today. It predicted his arrival at exactly 7:42 p.m. He glanced at his watch. It was 7:42. Someone had written his future before he lived it. Jack turned another page. Every event inside the journal matched everything he had already experienced. Then, fresh ink appeared before his eyes. Do not look behind you. Ignoring the warning, Jack quietly closed the journal. Beside it, one clean rectangular mark stood out against years of dust. Something had been there, and someone had removed it not long ago. Beneath the dust, Jack uncovered a brass nameplate. It read, Property Logbook. Just below it, a small wooden drawer was already slightly open, as if someone had left it waiting for him. Inside the drawer rested an old logbook and a heavy iron key labeled Basement Archive. Jack took only the key. Somehow he knew the answers weren't in the attic anymore. They were waiting beneath the house. Leaving the attic behind, Jack followed a hallway he could have sworn wasn't there before. At its end stood a heavy iron door, marked with a single word: Archive. The old key turned effortlessly. Beyond the iron door, a stone staircase disappeared underground. Unlike the abandoned mansion above, the basement looked carefully maintained, as if someone still visited it. The staircase led to a vast underground archive. Endless shelves held hundreds of carefully labeled boxes, each marked with a different family name. Jack quietly searched the rows, wondering why this forgotten house kept records of so many lives. Among hundreds of forgotten records, one box stood out. Its label read Carter. Unlike every other archive, it was completely free of dust. Jack reached toward it, then stopped, sensing that opening it would change everything. Jack finally opened the Carter archive. Inside were neatly organized records spanning decades, from 1992 to 2036. With a steady hand, he reached for the folder marked with the current year. Inside the current year's file was a detailed map of the mansion. One room was circled in red, Memory Vault. But a handwritten warning stopped Jack cold. Access only after reading your final file. Hidden beneath the map was a sealed envelope, addressed only to Jack Carter. A warning beneath it read, "Do not open until 8 p.m. His watch showed 7:47. Whatever was inside, someone wanted him to wait. Before leaving the archive, Jack noticed an old wall clock. its hands were frozen at exactly 8 o'clock. Yet his own watch still read 7:47. For the first time, he wondered if time itself followed different rules inside the house. On his way out, Jack noticed an old architectural blueprint. Hidden behind the library wall was a passage labeled Memory Vault Access. Instead of removing it, he quietly photographed the blueprint with his phone. Back inside the library, Jack followed the blueprint exactly. One bookshelf moved with a quiet mechanical click, revealing a narrow, hidden opening. He paused, listening carefully before taking another step. Behind the bookshelf, the hidden passage ended at a reinforced steel door. Above an old mechanical keypad, 2 words were engraved into brass: Memory Vault. Jack knew he had finally reached the place the mansion had been leading him toward. Jack unfolded the mansion blueprint one last time. Hidden in the corner was a handwritten number sequence: 7194. He slowly raised his hand toward the keypad, stopping just before pressing the first key. Some doors are easy to open, but impossible to close again. Jack entered the numbers exactly as they appeared on the map. A deep metallic click echoed through the hidden passage. The vault unlocked, but the heavy door opened only a few inches, as if inviting him to make the final choice himself. Beyond the vault lay a perfectly preserved circular chamber. In its center rested a single black leather case. The brass plaque beneath it carried only 3 words: Jack Carter, Personal Memory File. Jack approached the black leather case. Attached to it was a small folded card bearing a single message: open only when you are ready to remember. He wasn't sure whether the warning was meant to protect him or the truth inside. Hidden inside the pedestal was a single brass key. A handwritten note confirmed what Jack already suspected. It belonged to the locked case. He held the key tightly, knowing that once the case was opened, there would be no turning back. Jack slowly turned the brass key. A quiet click broke the silence. The case was finally unlocked. But he hesitated, wondering if some truths were meant to remain hidden forever. Inside the case were objects from another lifetime: a worn wallet, a silver fountain pen, a pocket watch, and one sealed letter. Jack reached toward the envelope, sensing that whatever it contained would finally explain why the house had been waiting for him. The envelope carried only one instruction: to be read only after the vault is found. Whoever had written it knew Jack would eventually stand exactly where he was now. Jack finally broke the seal. The first line stopped him cold. If you are reading this, you trusted your curiosity more than your fear. He hadn't even reached the second sentence, yet somehow it already felt personal. Jack unfolded the next page. One sentence had been carefully underlined: the house never chose its owner. The owner always chose the house. For the first time, he wondered if coming here had truly been his own decision. Beneath the letter lay an official property registry. The registered owner's name was Jack Carter. The date read October 14th, 1998, years before he could possibly have owned the mansion. Nothing made sense anymore. Attached to the registry was an old family photograph. everyone's face remained untouched, except one. Someone had carefully scratched away a single person's identity, leaving only an empty silhouette behind. On the back of the photograph, only one sentence had been written. The missing face will return when the truth is accepted. Jack slowly lowered the picture. He realized the mystery was no longer about the house. It was about himself. Hidden beneath the photograph was an old maintenance report. One handwritten sentence stood apart from everything else. The vault was never built to hide memories. It was built to protect them. Jack suddenly began to question what had really been hidden all these years. Just when Jack believed the case was empty, a hidden compartment quietly opened. Inside was a sealed evidence bag containing a single USB drive labeled Carter Archive, Digital Record. Whatever the mansion had protected for decades, it wasn't finished revealing yet. The evidence bag carried one more instruction: playback device required. Across the vault, Jack noticed an old computer waiting silently on a wooden desk, as though it had been expecting him all along. Before touching the computer, Jack found one final instruction beside the keyboard. Read every instruction before connecting the archive. He paused. After everything he had discovered, rushing forward no longer felt like an option. The final instruction was surprisingly simple. Break the evidence seal only after confirming today's date. Jack checked the calendar, then his watch. They matched perfectly. Whatever came next had been prepared for this exact day. With steady hands, Jack finally opened the evidence bag. The archive drive rested on the desk beside a waiting USB cable. He paused once more. After this moment, the truth would no longer exist as a mystery. It would become a memory. The computer finally came to life. A single message appeared on the screen. Identity verification required. Beneath it, only one command waited. Press enter to continue. Jack pressed enter. Seconds later, the verification completed. The screen displayed only 4 words. Identity confirmed. Welcome back, Jack Carter. It wasn't asking who he was. It already knew. The archive opened automatically. There was only one file. Jack Carter Final Record. It claimed to have been recorded in 1998. Jack couldn't explain how a video bearing his own name could exist decades before this moment. Jack clicked the file. The screen faded to black before displaying a single message. Archive record initializing. He held his breath. Whatever appeared next would answer every question the mansion had kept hidden. The recording finally began. Sitting at the very same desk was a man dressed exactly like Jack. His face remained hidden from view. Then the stranger spoke quietly. If you're watching this, you found the truth I promised you. Jack left the memory vault, carrying no treasure, only the truth. Some houses protect gold, some protect secrets, but this house protected something far more valuable: the memories that define who we become. And perhaps that was the reason it had been waiting for Jack all along.